everyone, Janie here. Welcome back to my garden and welcome to another Saturday coffee chat. I'm hanging out in the chicken coop, not only with the chicks, but also with the bunnies. I brought them out here this morning and they're having a fabulous time. And the chickens are very happy with me because I brought them some watermelon, a lot of watermelon. They'll have that for all day today, which they will love. So, okay, so for announcements, when you see this today, I will be at the Greenery in Turlock, California. We're having an event there where I'm going to do a talk about plants that can handle the heat, the summer heat, and then other things that you can do to help your garden handle the heat. It's a free event. It's from 10 to 3. So if you're anywhere near Turlock, California, come stop by. The other announcement that I have for you all for today is just like a quick PSA. My gardening overalls that I absolutely love, they're from Duluth. They're the Heirloom Bib gardening overalls. I think that's how you say it. They're on massive sale right now. I hope the sale's still going on when you see this. I'm filming it on Friday, so you're seeing it on Saturday. Some of them, they're normally like $70, $80, and they were on sale for, some of them are on sale for like $30, some of the colors. So I'm very excited about it. I got myself another pair and I just wanted to let you all know. So I'll put a link to that in the description down below. So since I'm in the chicken coop, I'll just do a quick update on the girls. They're behind me right there. They are doing very, very well. They are, gosh, I don't know how many weeks they are. They're probably about 12 to 15 weeks now at this time. When you buy chicks, you buy them anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks, so I don't know exactly how old they are, but they are not laying eggs yet. And they should start laying eggs around 18 weeks, and they have not started laying eggs yet. So I am waiting patiently, impatiently, and waiting for them to start laying eggs. They are silkies, which actually don't lay too many eggs. They lay about 2 to 3 eggs a week, which honestly is perfect for our family. You know, about a dozen eggs a week, I think is going to be fantastic for us to go through, and then we won't have to worry about giving extras away or anything like that. So they're doing very, very well. And as for the bunnies have not been out here as much as we've wanted them to, simply because it's hot. They cannot handle the heat. And I kind of thought that that would be an issue. I think as the season goes on, they'll be able to handle it a little bit more. One, as they get more acclimated to it, and then two, as we cool down later on in the season. But they have been coming out here in the mornings and they love it. They're doing their binkies, which is a little bunny jump. I don't know if you saw her. That's Hermione. They do a little bunny jump, which means that they're really happy. So yeah, they're doing fantastic. Okay, so let's get on to questions, comments from the videos this week. The first video on Monday was early morning in the cut flower garden. This was my voiceover video. So what I did is I barely got dressed in the morning. I put clothes on and I knew I wanted to do some serious gardening. So I just set my camera up and I actually did a voiceover of that video. And I think, I don't think I'm going to do a ton of those because they actually take a lot of work to edit. It doesn't take a lot of work to film those kind of videos because obviously you just set the camera up. But for editing and to do the voiceover work, I think I'm just not as good at it yet, and so they take like twice as long to edit those videos. But then I get so much more done in the garden, so it's kind of like a give and take. So anyway, the first question was from Janet. She says, "Hi Janie, how's the foot? You seem to be getting around like nothing ever happened. The garden looks amazing." So thank you for asking, Janet. I thought I would throw this one in just to give you all an update on my foot. So for those of you who don't know, last end of summer, I stepped on a rock and I twisted my foot and I fell and I did serious damage. I ended up having to have a surgery on it, actually 2 surgeries on it, put a screw in and then they removed the screw, and I was non-weight bearing for a very long time and it was horrible. And my foot is, I would say, like 90% better. I still can't really jump. Actually, I did jump yesterday, not even thinking about it, and it didn't hurt, and so knock on wood, so that was good. But I can't jump, and every once in a while when I'm walking a lot, I'll start feeling a little bit of pain in my foot. But it's not bad. It's not anything that's going to limit my function or anything like that. But I would say I'm like 90% better. What's not better though is my balance. And that is something that's very, very important, is to make sure that your balance is good. So, I used to be a physical therapist, so I know all about this. And when you have an injury, you actually injure what's called the proprioceptors in your joints, which means your body doesn't really know where it is. Like if I'm walking and I step on something, my foot won't really send the message to my brain that my foot's twisted. And so my balance has been so off lately, ever since I injured my foot. So that's something that I'm really trying to work on. I would like to work more on it. I would like to, like, I used to do yoga all the time, and I would like to go back to yoga. But I like doing hot yoga, and it's just way too hot to do hot yoga. So anyway, Courtney's mother is a certified yoga instructor, so she's pushing me to do yoga as well. So I'll get to it eventually. So thanks, Janet. My foot is doing so much better. Next question is from Betty Boop. She says, morning, how do you know what is a plant versus a weed when you just throw a handful of seeds into a raised bed? I'm lucky that I know what a flower looks like when I plant one. I roll here, LOL. So Betty Boop. So what she's talking about is on my back 2 beds, I had just thrown out a whole bunch of wildflower seeds, and they had grown up. And to answer your question of when you know what's a seed, like what's an actual flower that you planted versus what's a weed, is you just learn it. Like, I know that that's so annoying. It's such an annoying answer to a question, and I totally get it. But it's the same type of thing as like when you're watering a houseplant. And like the rule of thumb is you stick your finger in the houseplant, and if it feels dry, you water it. If it feels moist, you don't water it. And I know when I first started doing that, it was like, I can't tell if it's dry or wet. I have no idea. But you learn. You do it over and over and over again, and you learn. So Betty, if you go out into your garden and you look at a seedling, leave it and let it grow, and you'll be able to see very quickly whether it's a weed or whether it's a flower. You just kind of watch it grow. Sometimes I get super confused because we have some really beautiful weeds here. There's one weed that has this gorgeous purple flower. I don't really know what it is. I'll have to look it up. But I always leave it because I think it's a flower, and then I realize it's a weed. And remember, a weed is just a flower in the wrong spot. So don't be too hard on yourself. But to answer your question, you will get it eventually as you practice, as you grow seeds, as you grow flowers. You will start recognizing what a Cosmo seedling looks like, what a zinnia seedling looks like, what a Nigella seedling looks like. You'll get it eventually, I promise. All right, the next video is my perfect gardening day. This is when I was planting all my ballet slippers summerific hibiscus along a fence in my backyard. I'm so happy with that planting. I'm so glad I decided to do that. Karen at first says, I know it will be a lot of work, but I think they should be moved more away from the fence. They need good circulation. And I did get quite a lot of these comments about people saying they were planted too close to the fence. And I totally get that, and I totally respect that. I respectfully disagree, I guess is what I'm trying to say. You know, I think it just kind of depends on what look you're going for, and the look that I'm going for is not, you know, individual plants. I really want them to grow into each other as a hedge, and I want them to hug the fence. And a lot of people said that they were worried that they were too close to the fence and they would get powdery mildew. We really don't get a lot of powdery mildew here. And, you know, you don't always have to follow the gardening rules. You have to know the rules before you break them, but you don't always have to follow the gardening rules. And so that's one of the reasons why I always use my tape measure on video, because I kind of want to, I want to check for myself and make sure I'm right. But then I also want to indicate to all of you that, you know, like this is the spacing that I've decided on, and it might not, like, it might not be the rule, exactly what they say, but it's still where I want to plant the plant. So I think it's going to be fine. I think that they're going to be really pretty. I think they're going to hug the fence and kind of grow outwards from the fence, which is exactly the look that I wanted for that. So thank you, Karen. I appreciate your input. I really, really do. I don't want you to feel like I don't appreciate your input, but I don't think I'm going to move those. I think I'm going to leave them. Okay, next one. At the end of that video, I was talking about how poor my soil is, and the places that I amended with compost, my soil is beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. So my local landfill is offering free compost for until October, which I want to take advantage of that. I wanted to say this because I did get some people concerned that the compost wasn't like would have chemicals in it or something like that. And even I said I wouldn't use that compost on my vegetables just because I don't know what's in it. So this is really interesting. In my opinion, I thought I wouldn't use landfill compost on my vegetables. So Michelle says, Janie, check the website for your local landfill. The compost they provide might be STA certified. If it is, it should be okay for your veggies too. In Orange County, California, the Frank Bowerman landfill, part of OC Waste and Recycling, has STA certified compost and mulch. I just head up there with a dozen 5-gallon buckets and my garden has been so happy, and it is free. Okay, Michelle. Great, fabulous advice, because I did exactly this. I went to my county's website to check and see what they had to say about our landfill. And the reason why I'm saying this to you guys is like, we need to do our research. We need to see, because this is super interesting. So my compost at my local landfill is STA certified, which means it meets the requirements for you know, no chemicals and everything broken down. And also it's been basically cooked to the point where it kills all the weed seeds. So the question on the website said, what about weeds with seeds, such as foxtails? And the response was, since the thermophilic composting reduces pathogens, which is a fundamental requirement for feedstock processing, and destroys most weed seeds as required by Title 14 of the California Code of Regulations. So basically what it's saying is it heats it up enough to kill all the weed seeds, which is great. However, let's go one step further. What happens to the compost after it's finished? Most is sold to local farmers for use on their fields, and some is set aside for Yolo County residents. Now, for those of you who don't know, I live in California, and I live in the Central Valley of California. And the Central Valley of California is where a ton of vegetables for the United States gets produced. I don't know the numbers, but it's like an insane amount of vegetables come from like my area, right, for everybody. So they're using that compost on the vegetables that we eat, that we buy at the grocery store. I was like, oh my gosh, thank you, Michelle. So I just thought it was so funny that I even said on the video, I don't think I'm going to use this compost on my vegetables. Yet the vegetables that I buy from the grocery store have the exact same compost on them. So a huge thank you to Michelle for pointing this out and kind of pushing me to kind of research this a little bit more. So you better believe I'm going to my local landfill and I'm going to be getting this compost for free. I'm jealous because you get mulch for free. I don't get mulch for free. I wish I did, but I will get a ton of this compost. Okay, next question was the video that I was planting along the long border. I did kind of a big planting, and then Jason and I went to Home Depot. We got some irrigation supplies. Linda says, hi, is it too late to plant zucchini in zone 9B? So this doesn't really have to do with the video, but I wanted to answer this for Linda. No, it's not too late, and you should absolutely do it. The way that you know if it's too late or if it's not is that you look on the seed packet and you look to see how many days to harvest it is. And then you, wherever you are, it's not necessarily zone 9B, but it's your zip code. You look up your first frost for your zip code and you figure out how many days it is till your first frost. And if you have more days till your first frost than how many days you have on the seed packet, go ahead and plant it. So I was just at Fanula's Cottage Gardens of Petaluma, and one of the things, I helped her film a video for her YouTube channel. One of the things that she wanted to tell everybody for June is that it's not too late to plant veggies, and her last frost date is like 2 months before mine. So if she's saying that it's not too late to plant summer veggies, absolutely, Linda, it's not too late. Plant your zucchini and enjoy it. Next question is from my June front garden tour. You guys, that was so funny. It was early in the morning. I went outside to drink my coffee, and the light, it was like golden outside. It was so beautiful. I was in my pajamas and I just grabbed my phone and I started filming my front garden tour, and it turned out so beautifully. So I apologize for filming a garden tour in my pajamas, but I could not miss that light. It was so beautiful. And by the time I was done, it was gone, and it was like, it was just gorgeous. I'm just so glad I got it on camera. So Connie says, how do you keep the rabbits, etc., from eating your flowers? I'm spraying like crazy to keep the rabbits from eating all my flowers and plants. Connie, I got a dog. That's my answer. We got a golden retriever named Monty, and ever since we got that golden retriever, I have not seen one rabbit in my garden. And when we first moved into this garden, there was rabbits all over the place. I think there was a bunny den underneath my back deck. I mean, they were all over the place. So yeah, I know that's kind of a, you know, get a dog. But honestly, I got a dog and they were gone. They were absolutely gone. Same with the squirrels. There's still some squirrels, but there's so much less. So honestly, just getting a dog and having a dog kind of walk around and mess around made my situation better. You know, you might have so much pressure that you have to do more, but that's how I did it. Sorry. Okay, TJS Home and Garden asks, great tour. You mentioned you love Mexican food because you live in Cali, but your last name is Santos, right? Yes. Is your hubby not Latino or Hispanic? No, he's not. I actually get this question a lot. So does Jason. He is Portuguese. He is like super, maybe a little bit of Italian, but like super duper Portuguese. So his father's name is Isidro, which is a super Portuguese name. And no, he is not Hispanic. We love Mexican food because there's so many fabulous Mexican food places around here, and we've grown up with Mexican food. It's funny because Santos is a very common Hispanic name, but it's also a very common Filipino name as well. I know this because when I was working in physical therapy and I would call somebody to set up an appointment and I would say, oh, hi, my name's Janey Santos, some people would assume that I was Filipino. So then I would show up. I'm not Filipino, obviously. So no, he is Portuguese. Next question is from Joe. Hi, Joe. Gorgeous tour. What is your secret with raising such huge heliotropes? You are the one that turned me on to them, and they don't get very big for me. I started some from seed, marine blue. I see that you have them all alone in a pot. How many plants per pot? I did read that they don't like to share their space, and that may be the problem. We'll keep trying, and they are an annual for me. Aren't you glad you kept the zigzag planter? Yes, Joe. Do the same with the pergola. Okay, I'll keep the pergola for now. No promises. So Joe's talking about the heliotrope that I have in the three big pots in front of my zigzag planter. So Joe, you planted marine blue and I planted fragrant delight. So they're two different varieties. And I have noticed that marine blue doesn't grow very big for me as well. My mom planted a bunch of marine blue and it didn't grow very big. So there's different types of heliotrope, and I think that they grow bigger, you know, depending on what type you get. So see if you can get your hands on the fragrant delight kind. That's the kind that I feel like I've always planted, and it's definitely my favorite kind. I also think there's some that don't smell as good as fragrant delight. So just be conscious of what type that you're finding. I don't know if you can get seeds from fragrant delight. I'll see if I can find those. But yeah, I think it's because you planted the wrong variety. As for how many plants I planted, those are huge pots. How big are those? I don't know, 20 inches across or something like that, 20-inch diameter. And I planted 5 1-gallon pots. So I packed it pretty tight, and they're super happy. So make sure you give them plenty of water, and they do like sun. I thought they were gonna scorch up there, but they're totally happy, and fertilize them too. Okay, as for yesterday's video, and that was today's video, that was when I was working in the cut flower field. So my front center island, we had no plans to do anything to it this year, and I decided to do cut flowers in it because it was blank space. And I'm actually really happy I did that because they're starting to grow and they're starting to look good, and I'm super excited about it. So Margaret says, good morning, Janie. I have a crepe myrtle that's getting too tall for me to prune. Your tree was so beautiful. Did you prune it every year? So Margaret's talking about the tree that I had in my last property. It was a crepe myrtle in the front, and it was gorgeous. I loved it so much. So Margaret, I didn't prune it. We lived there, I think, for 4 years, and we never pruned it once. And I had an arborist come, the same arborist that's come out to help me here, the same guy. He's really smart. And he says that he thinks that people prune crepe myrtle trees too much. He says that if there's like a huge problem, like a crossing branch or a dead branch, then obviously you can take care of it. But his opinion is that people overwork crepe myrtle trees. And when he said that to me, I was like, really? But I kind of looked into it, and I think that that's good advice. So I don't think you should worry about it. I don't think you should prune it. If it's too tall for you, like, don't worry about it. Maybe every couple years have an arborist come in and kind of touch it up or something, but make sure you have a good arborist that doesn't prune it too much, right? So that tree that was so beautiful, that had so many blooms, because a lot of people will say you need to prune your crepe myrtle trees to get more blooms. I never pruned it once, and I had blooms all over that tree. Okay, next question. Diane asks, are you sponsored by Espoma? And I think that Diane's asking that because I've been using a lot of Land and Sea compost lately, and Biotone Starter Fertilizer and all their fertilizers. And the answer to that, Diane, is no, I'm not sponsored by Espoma. They don't pay me. They don't give me any money. They did give me free product. So they sent me a pallet of all of their stuff to try, which I am really, really thankful for. And they did sponsor my Proven Winners Park Winners event on May 25th, in that they gave out free stuff for people for the swag bags, and free stuff for the raffle, which was so wonderful of them. So no, they're not sponsored. I do love their products. They're kind of difficult to get a hold of here, even though last time I was at Home Depot, I almost filmed it. There was like this whole Espoma setup. It was crazy. I'd never seen it before. So anyway, answer is no, I'm not sponsored by Espoma, but they did send me those products to use. Along the same vein, Cheryl asks, where did you find your Land and Sea compost in California? I'm in Southern California, and I haven't been able to find it anywhere. So Cheryl, you're not gonna find it. It's so annoying. So Espoma was telling me about it. Here in California, they can't label Land and Sea compost or something like that. I don't exactly remember all of it, but basically the name of what they've named it and where they sell it to all the other states, they're not allowed to sell that name, that bag of compost, in California. So you're not going to find it for sale in California, unfortunately. Now, I didn't buy it. They sent it to me, so that's completely legal and I can use it, and I'm really sorry. I know that's so mean for me to use it and then not be able to buy it here in California. But I did want to try it. I wanted to see how good it is, and so far I really like it. I think you can buy it online and have it shipped to you or something. And I would say definitely get it and try it if you can get your hands on it. But it's just too hard for us to find it here in California, simply because of the name. I mean, literally, it's the name, and Espoma doesn't want to reprint all their packages because of that. So as for now, you're probably not going to, you're not going to find it in California. And I only have it because they sent it to me. Okay, the very last question for this week's coffee chat is from KMSCH. He or she says, good morning, Janie. Can you let us know in the next coffee chat which flowers require pinching and which don't? Just annuals and ones that shoot up with single stems. I have dahlias, zinnias, snapdragons, hollyhocks, lupin, sunflowers, and I've never pinched, but I'm a newbie gardener. You don't have to pinch. You should pinch. You get more blooms, yes, you should pinch. And I went and I pinched all my flowers. Dahlias, you should, okay. I take that back. Dahlias you should pinch, because if you don't pinch your first dahlia is going to be, the stem's going to be so short, and it's not going to be useful for you at all. So definitely pinch your dahlias. As for your zinnias, yeah, you should pinch because they branch way more. But if you just leave the first one, and if you harvest that first flower, that's technically pinching. I guess it just depends what your goals are. If your goals is just to have a really beautiful plant, I don't think it's that big of a deal. If your goal is that you want as much production as possible out of that, then you definitely should pinch. Snapdragons, same thing. What are your goals? If your goals are to have 1 or 2 really tall, beautiful spikes on your Snapdragon, then don't pinch them, right? Because that first one is going to take all that energy and all those nutrients, and it's going to grow really, really big. I actually had some people ask me, like, how did I grow my Snapdragons so big? I didn't pinch them, not on purpose. I just never got around to it. But if you want more blooms that maybe are a little smaller, then go ahead and pinch your Snapdragons. Hollyhocks, I don't know. If someone can answer that in the comments section, I honestly don't know if you should pinch hollyhocks or not. Same with lupin. Sunflowers are a maybe. Sunflowers are always a maybe. You have to know whether you have branching sunflowers or non-branching sunflowers. If you have non-branching sunflowers, definitely don't pinch, because if you pinch, you're pinching off that single bloom for that plant, and then that plant is dead. If you have branching sunflowers, you can pinch if you want like more branching and more blooms. Same thing as like a zinnia. Then I'm trying to think what other ones you don't want to pinch. Stock, you don't want to pinch, because again, that's only one stem, one bloom per stem. So you kind of just have to know what plant you're planting. You're not gonna screw it up, I guess is what I'm trying to say. You're not gonna screw it up unless you pinch something like a single stem sunflower or stock or something like that. A lot of things can be pinched, a lot of things can be cut. Whenever you pinch it, you're encouraging more, you're halting the apical growth, and you're encouraging more, what's the word, branching growth. But you're also slowing down the blooms. So just kind of think of it and think of what your goals are. A flower farmer's goals are going to be different than a home gardener's goals. So hopefully that makes sense. If you want more information, KMSCH, if you want more information, I encourage you to go look at the Gardener's Workshop website, Lisa Mason Ziegler. She has a book called The Cool Flower Method, and that's a great book. But more importantly, she has all the information you could ever need about growing cut flowers and what to do and when to pinch and all that kind of stuff. She's really a wealth of knowledge. She's really fantastic. So I'm pretty sure her website's called The Gardener's Workshop. She has a YouTube channel where I think she just posts her lives, and then she also has a podcast that I've listened to quite a number of times, which is very, very helpful. So that should be a good resource for you if you need more help. Okay, so that is it for today's coffee chat video. Thank you all so much for your questions and your comments. If you have any gardening announcements that you'd like me to share, shoot me an email. Oh, that's the other thing I wanted to tell you all. I completely forgot. I should have put this in the beginning of the video. Make sure you're videoing your gardens. Make sure you're taking video footage of them, because I definitely want to do another Show Me Your Garden series. Last year when I hurt my foot actually and I couldn't get out into the garden, in response to that I asked for all of you to send in videos of your gardens, and then I put together kind of like a compilation of each zone, and it was so much fun, and we all enjoyed seeing everyone's gardens so much. So I definitely want to do that again. I think I'm probably going to do it like in July or August when it's so hot and I don't want to go outside at all. So just be ready. I will get the link. The link is not ready yet to submit it. So, some people have asked, where do I submit this? I don't have the link ready yet, but I'll start getting it ready right now. But I just want to remind you all to make sure that you're videoing your gardens when you think your gardens are looking top notch, because like my garden is getting to peak. I think I'm almost at peak, maybe like another month and I'll be perfectly at peak. But you never know. It's kind of ebbs and flows. But I just wanted to remind all of you, because I know last time when I did this, a lot of you were disappointed because you didn't have footage. You only had footage when your garden was kind of done for the year. So now I want to remind you to get footage when your garden is really beautiful. So anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this, and I hope you all have a chance to get in your garden today. Princess Fluffy Butt, look how dirty you are. Princess Fluffy Butt. That's Princess Fluffy Butt, the white one, and she's a mess. You're a mess, my dear.